I just want to know if you've finished Bachelorette yet, because you're getting to that point where it's like, okay, you've had your time.
I've had my time, and for the rec, I've been very busy, but because I'm a committed podcaster, I watched all of it either in the car or while I was, fulfilling orders at work. And that was a real shit show, right? Yeah. Coming and going, this was a shit show. The Marcus of it all, listen, I want to be respectful to other people's experiences and not be a total asshole in shitting all over Marcus. But shit or get off the pot, bro. Right?
I feel like he just didn't like her.
He didn't. Yeah. And he didn't want to be the bad guy. So he's trying to get himself there. And yes, do I believe that he has had a traumatic childhood and then going to war is a brutal experience that I can't even sit here and pretend to say I know anything about. I'm not trying to say just get over it. What I'm saying is, then know thyself and maybe don't go on the show, or maybe realize that you've got these limitations. And when you're coming up against this and you can't get there and it's week 0, maybe excuse yourself. Don't just say I want to get there. You can't be sitting in front of this girl's parents and say, I'm not in love with her yet, but I hope to be. Here's an IOU for some love, Mrs. Tran. That's not how it goes. And I get that the show is ridiculous. And I get that you're falling in love with someone in a really stilted way. And there's cameras and you're in Fiji and this isn't real life. I get all of that. But you signed up for the show, Marcus. It's not like you did this against your will. And you just kept saying the same thing. And in the beginning, see, here's what I love about these shows. People show you who they are right off the bat. It's that Maya Angelou quote. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. On the first date he had with her, he was telling her how hard it is for him to open up, how much trauma he's gone through, and he doesn't know if he's really dealt with it. And I feel for him with all of that. But then at a certain point, okay, I get that this is true, but then get off the dance floor and let someone else come and fill your spot. Because at this point, now it's affecting me. You can have all the PTSD in the world. You can have all the trauma that you haven't dealt with yet. That's your choice if you don't want to deal with it or you need to move at a slower pace to deal with it. But you can't involve another person in it. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do, but I also do feel a lot for him that I think he's aware of his issues. I feel like he's honest enough for me to believe that he went on here with the best of intentions.
I agree.
And wanted every day to try harder and try harder and try harder. And I think that there might have gotten to a point where he thought that maybe he didn't like her or he wasn't feeling those things because of all of his issues, when really he just maybe wasn't that into her. But I don't, there's something about him though that makes me really believe that he Devin, to know a guy like Devin and then to see a guy like Marcus is night and day. You know that this guy is not coming from a bad place. No. I think he truly believed he could possibly do it, but I think that he doesn't, he just doesn't know what's wrong with him. So he didn't want to short sell himself on something that could be really great.
No, I know what the problem is. I know what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, what?
He's not a man yet.
Marcus?
Yeah. Because I do believe that Marcus went into it with the best of intentions and he has a good heart and he wanted to fall in love with her. And I believe that he doesn't want to do anything quote unquote wrong or hurt her. But a real adult, I don't mean man I'm a man or what, I mean an adult in that situation would say, I can't do this. And I care enough about you that I gotta bow out and let you have this experience because I know that I'm not going to get there. You don't need week 0 to, when we're at T minus 2 seconds to the proposal, you don't need that much time. You just, I get that it's an accelerated process, but again, you signed up for this. So if you're in that situation and it's not happening, you know what the end goal is. You know it's a proposal, ridiculous or not. You signed up for it. That's what you're here for. So if you're at hometowns and you can't look this person in the eye and say, I love you, I see a future with you, all of this stuff, then bow out, because that's what an adult does. It's like, I love animals, right? You love animals. I would rescue every dog, cat, chicken, llama, you name it, from here to Timbuktu. It's irresponsible for me to do that. I know what my capacity is, so I don't take on another animal,
right?
Because I'm an adult and I get it. And I just think Marcus, as sweet as he is, as much as he didn't want to be the bad guy, you know what being an adult is? Sometimes you got to be the bad guy. Sometimes you got to say, can't do it. Sorry, I can't get to your wedding. I can't adopt this animal that's in need. I can't be the guy that you want me to be in this relationship. And then you bow out in a really respectful way. That's what being an adult is. Not saying, but I want to get there for you, because wanting to get there for someone else is not doing anyone else a fucking service. It's actually hurting them, because now all of a sudden you're in a conversation that's never gonna really get anywhere, because everything you're doing is because you just want to please that other person. And then all of a sudden you're gonna get bitter and it's never gonna work out. That's what's going on. And it was really frustrating to watch, because as I'm watching him have this final conversation with her, I'm getting annoyed with him. And I don't want to get annoyed with Marcus. He was my favorite. I liked him the most out of all the guys.
Yeah, I remember.
But he was a broken record towards the end. Yeah. It's like, we got it. You can't get there, so leave. So leave. It's like me sitting in a store being like, oh my God, I love this dress. And I'm wearing the dress and it fits me perfectly. And the salesperson is there. Yes, girl, it looks amazing on you. I love it. It's perfect for what you have to go to. At hour 4, buy the dress or take it off and leave.
Yeah.
I feel like he was at hour 4 in the dress being like, but maybe I could afford it.
Yeah.
I just don't think he was being honest with himself, because he didn't want to be a bad guy. And being an adult means sometimes you got to be the bad guy.
It's hard for me to get on board with the statement that he's not a man yet, because I
How about not an adult? That's maybe misspeaking. Not that he's not a man. I mean, like, you're not, an adult makes hard decisions.
Right. I think I don't know how to articulate this, because everything that you're saying, like, yeah, he needed to go, because by the time you're in that final 3 and she's right in front of you and you know that she's having to make actually it was final 2. He made the final 2, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's sitting in front of her
mom. And still be sitting in front of her. But like, sometimes I think, like, I don't know if this guy goes to therapy or whatever, but can you see him being there? Like, if he, like, I could see him being a guy that could be open to therapy. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did go. But I could see either a therapist or like a life coach or somebody as VA or like whatever, just telling him like, bro, you deserve this. Hang in there. Like, don't let your, experiences, like predict what your future is, or make those decisions for you. Just keep going. You can do this. You can do this. And I wonder if it was more of him saying, she's worth everything. So I know that this just must be an issue with me, and I'm not going to let this go just because of like some shit that I had to fucking go through for my country. Like, I guess I'm just feel much more, I'm less frustrated with him and feel more empathy, I think.
No, I feel
him.
extreme empathy. I'm with you. I feel extreme empathy for Marcus. I want him to, whether he's in therapy or not, like, to heal all of that pain, not just from being, a vet, from also, like what he described as a really traumatic childhood. I want him to heal all of that and feel amazing and worthy of love and unburden himself with all of this stuff. To me, it is irresponsible to get into a relationship with another human being if you're not ready to be in a relationship with them.
Yeah.
An adult makes the decision of, oh, I'm not ready to give my heart to you because there's still parts of my heart that are deeply broken.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to bring you along for this ride where I have to keep you at arm's length while I heal. What I'm going to do is say, you are worthy of someone showing up completely ready, and I'm going to go do the work on myself. And I get that this is such a risk, but I need to heal myself before I can be the best partner possible to you. That's what a healed human, and maybe my term is wrong, saying like, or like my phrasing of it, saying like, oh, you're not an adult yet. Maybe it's more just like, he's not healed.
Yeah.
And to me, whether it's, I don't give a shit what kind of a relationship it is, familial, friendship, intimate, work. If you have things about you that you know are that are like broken, and we all have broken parts of ourselves, but you then got to do the work to, and I know that term's like, so you got to do the work, but like, you got to fucking do the work. Like, I don't know any other way to say it. You have to heal that shit, because it's the same way. Have you ever gone to a party and someone hugs you? You're like, oh my God, hey, Kate, it's so great to see you. Kate gives you a hug and you say, hey, I haven't seen you in so long. How are you doing? Oh my God, I'm totally fine, but I'm actually like really not feeling well. And then I think to myself, hey ho, why'd you hug me? If you're not feeling well, stay home. Don't infect me and all of the other party goers. And that's what I feel like with even emotional illnesses, right? Like when you have an emotional sickness, don't infect me with it, because we've all dated that person. That makes their problem your problem. So now I'm sitting here totally obsessed with some emotionally unavailable human being, thinking that if I just am perfect enough, if I can dress a certain way, make a certain amount of money, make my parents proud in a certain way, and obviously I'm just using all random hypothetical things, then it will work. And then and that's ridiculous. That's malarkey. And then that's when it starts to affect me. And that's when I need to start going to therapy, because now I've put myself in the headspace of, oh my God, well, if I could just give them more time, if we're taking a romantic relationship as the example, right? But I know our connection is so good. Yes. But if this person is emotionally sick and not trying to get well and tending to that, guess what? It makes me sick. And I don't want emotional bronchitis. Okay. That's how I feel about Marcus. I feel like, Marcus, you are an amazing human being. Heal this stuff, and then let's circle back. Let's put a pin in this for right now and circle back once the healing has happened. Right? No?
Yeah, no, totally. Absolutely. I think we're probably saying the same thing, because I don't think either of us think that he was going in with any bad intentions.
Not at all.
I think he was completely working against his own interests, but
Yes.
not realizing it at all.
Totally.
I'm sure by the time that she came to his room, he obviously, fessed up and like let her go and whatever.
But he didn't really, like, because he said, he's like, I am in love with you. Like, you say it now? We've been stuck on the side of the road with a flat tire for 4 months. And now you're like, oh, there is a flat tire in the trunk. Now you're telling me this?
Nick Viall has a really good take on this.
Oh, what is it?
That both of them were completely pressured into that day by producers and just really bad producing, and them getting really stuck to their playbook. Like they have to push him to do it, because it's like, oh, you're so-and-so's producer. You got to get him to say, I love you. We want him to say, I love you. We need him to say, I love you. So they push him. He finally does it. But then she really went there to break it off, because, but then he says it, they get it out of him, and then she still breaks it off. Yeah. And some people looking at it could be like, oh, she heard it and she still knew this isn't right for me, so I'm letting him go. But the way that she walks out and has to come back, it's so kind of obvious to me now that she had to go and tell her producer, wait, but he said it. What do I do now? And so I think that it was really shitty of the show to push him so hard to say something that he's been saying the whole time. I don't want to say this until I really mean it. And this means more to me than probably the average Joe. And because of here's my background and here's what my parents did and me and my sister, blah, 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 whatever. And he was he was just saying it was just a really shitty move on people that have been working off of a playbook for so long that they don't know how when something's not going according to the book, that not to just go, oh, we have to recourse.
We have to course correct.
Redirect or whatever. And he's like, it was a really great example of a show that's just been on a playbook for too long.
I can get down with that. And listen, I've never been on a show like this. I'm sure, especially in your 20s, I'm sure it's pressuresome in a way that I just can't relate to because I've never experienced anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like as we evolve as humans, and maybe this is asking too much of the human race, you just kind of sit back and say, I'm not getting pressured by this. I'm following my heart, whether that's going to lead me to an engagement with this person or me recognizing that this is a fabulous person I'm sitting in front of. They're still not right for me. Or they are right for me. I'm not right for this moment because I'm still really struggling with stuff. Yeah. And I feel like if what Nick Viall said is true, if the show really wanted to do a service to all of us and make a, not for nothing, a better storyline, they would have said, do you need help?
Yeah.
Why don't you do that and let her go on her way and release everyone from the pressure of you gotta say I love you. You gotta get down the aisle or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, let people be people.
Yeah.
Let them have that experience in a more organic way if that's the way it was going. But
and I think maybe like by this time, I think they just kind of beat him down, and he was just already looked very like emotionally fucking beat up.
He totally did.
On a normal day, I think that this guy would never let somebody pressure him into something, but it just seemed like maybe he had just been sort of living in this like weird world for an odd amount of time, and he was finally just like, I don't know, it's like he didn't have anything left. But what was also kind of interesting to me was like at the after the rose or whatever, yeah. I kind of expected that like they might say something like, had I known Devin was this, that, or the other, like, yes, I would have been so much. But like, she really made it a point to say like, no, it just wouldn't have worked.
But and this is my point. Yeah. I get that there's producers in the mix. I get all of Nick's point. It wasn't there.
Yeah.
It wasn't, because at the end of the day, when she sat on that couch with him, she wasn't saying, I wish it turned out differently for us. And even now, like when she was talking to him, we didn't know what had happened with Devin. And somehow a question was asked basically like, would you have done it differently? Or do you think if you had more time? I think the question was, if you had more time, do you think something would have shaken out differently? And she said, no, because we were both on our own paths. And that's the truth of it all.
Yeah.
And I feel like she was the adult, the healed, the evolved person, however you want to categorize it. She was that person in that moment. She gave him so much time. She gave him so much leeway and space to like figure, like, here are the breadcrumbs. If you want, follow them. And he's still like, I don't know, where can I find the main dish? And I'm not saying that to be mean to him. I'm saying that in the sense of like, she put it all out there and he couldn't get there. And I think that in this moment, Marcus is not ready to be in a relationship. That's what I really feel in my heart of hearts. And that doesn't mean that he's a bad person. It just means that like most human beings walking the earth, we got work to do on ourselves. And I just think maybe Marcus needs to do that before he gets serious about being in a relationship. Because I get it. Your goal is to, he said it in the finale, he's like, my goal is to be married and have a family. Great. My goal is to have a six-pack. I also know that there's work that goes involved, is involved with that. And the work to be a good partner a lot of times is really introspective. You got to look at yourself first. It's really introspective stuff. And then you look at the Devin of it all. I just want to say from jump, I was on to you, bro. I didn't like you and your stupid smile that you thought was so cute, or like my pouty lips because girls like full lips. Shut up. Everything was so false. I didn't believe one goddamn moment with you. I'm so irritated with his behavior because it read as false to me all season. And when he was saying, I love you, I'm like, no, I feel as though this is the right moment in the show where people are starting to say, I love you. I actually think he was a little early, but he wanted to get in early so that he could solidify his place in hometowns. And I think he was full of shit the entire time. I really do.
No, he totally was.
Vom.
Everything that he did, he just was such a low rent car salesman.
Yes.
But like, you could tell she was into that. You could so tell how broken she was, like really from the get, just by the things that certain guys would do that you're like, oh, you liked that. Oh God, that's a problem.
Well, and that's really interesting that you say that, because I think this is why I could never really get fully on board with her as the Bachelorette. Because listen, she's so beautiful. I mean, she looks like a doll. She has such a beautiful, precious little face and way about her. I just think she couldn't be any cuter. She has such a sweet, bubbly personality. She's a lovable human being. There's nothing about her to really not like. The only thing that was getting on my nerves was she was talking like this a lot. And when she was with the guys, she wanted to know, like, how are you feeling? And that started to get on my nerves.
Yeah, I know,
But besides that, she's a fucking lovely, sweet, beautiful girl, right? She probably has some work to do on herself, because listen, if you watch, and I've watched them all, so much of the time, people tell you how it's going to end. It's like that saying, they're hiding in plain sight. Okay. So much of the time people say, I'm really worried I'm going to fall for someone who's not as much into me. I'm going to fall for someone who's emotionally unavailable. In this case, that's what Jenn kept saying. I'm really worried that no one's going to show up. And a lot of times that's how the show ends, or after, when we're in the final rose, after the final rose, you see that this is what's happened after some time has passed. And she kept saying, I'm going to fall for someone who's emotionally unavailable. And Marcus was emotionally unavailable. And then Devin was giving her the whole spiel, laying it on so thick, like you said, had that. And this is so sad, because I'm sure used car salesmen are wonderful people, but it's the term, so we're going to use it. It's the saying, just like a used car salesman. It was so saccharine and phony, and none of it registered as, oh, I'm into this love story. Every time I'm sitting at home being like, you are not there for the right reasons, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And none of it read as honest. Not one word out of his mouth was believable to me.
Yeah, and he was not attractive
At all.
Like, where was he from?
Texas.
Oh, I feel like he was probably like the funny guy. He seemed like he might, I don't know.
You know what's annoying about Devin?
I feel like he might have been young and chubby. I don't
Yeah,
know. There's like
I could
something
see that.
about him that's like, now he's been able to get that under control. And so now he's just like, has a little more confidence than he really ever.
And he's a shipping heir,
earned.
so there's
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I also think that Devin's one of those guys who think, and this is so nasty of me to say, but like he thinks maybe more of himself than he's actually giving.
Yeah.
And you maybe need to come a little bit back down to reality, bro, and know that even Elizabeth Hurley was cheated on. So it doesn't matter how good looking you think you are, or I get that you're tall and you think that gives you a pass to think that you're, Brad Pitt. And it's just, get a grip. Like, be a decent human being. How are you treating other people? And you treated her really badly, bro. It was nasty what you did to her. When you kept saying, like, it was hard for me. I was in mourning. Well, not that much if you're following other bachelorettes who are single, if you're out there in the world. And I get that everybody grieves differently, but you're on a public platform. It reads as real crappy behavior.
Like, I can't think of anybody that like, I'm like, oh, I really think this might have been the guy for her. Like, can you think of anyone from the whole season that like,
I think in all candor, she wasn't ready to maybe take on this role, because like Marcus, she needs to be doing some work on herself. Not that she's not strong and great and all of that. I think a lot of people who watch the show could say Devin was really not the right guy.
yeah, barf.
From jump.
Yeah.
Who was the guy who he was definitely in hometowns. I can't remember if he made it to final 3. He was super cute. He was from New York. He was a real estate investor. He was at the final rose.
I know who you're talking about, and
think he
I
lived in,
always
like-
liked him
I
too.
loved him.
Yeah, and I wish that but she clearly had a type. Mike said that, like when we saw the 3 guys left at the end, it was like, oh, I mean, and Devin looked a little bit different, but still same features. And I think she's just not, maybe she's not into like white dudes, because the guy that we're talking about was like a white guy, right?
Yeah. I just thought that guy had I felt like they laughed together.
Yeah.
I felt like she was most herself around him. I thought they had more of a mature tete-a-tete going on. And I really liked watching them together. I thought that he was also adult enough to like let her grow and support her and be there for her. And whether it would last or not, I just thought that would have been a really great relationship for her to explore further.
Yeah.
I just was so disgusted with how Devin was acting when they were on the couch talking about like what had happened, how it transpired. Dude was out as soon as she proposed. He was like, can I get on the next flight or do I have to wait till tomorrow?
Yeah.
He was so, I mean, from what they said, I think he even said, like, I knew as soon as we got engaged that, oops, wrong button. He said something like, please, I feel like you're trying to concentrate, like, and also the way he spoke drove me up a wall all season. He's like, at the pure essence of this. And I'm like, that's not what you're trying to say, dude. Like, he was like punching above his weight and he was verbally speaking. And the entire season, he kept trying to like be eloquent or say certain things that he thought would make him sound really smart, verbose, whatever. And he just botched it every time, in my opinion. And so he's sitting there, he's like, I feel like you're concentrating this or trying to concentrate this. And it's really not what you're saying. And listen, she gets to experience it the way she experienced it. And I think she was really lovely about the entire situation. And I actually wish I could have like coached her before she went out there. Because I think he did get off the hook in a way that I was not comfortable with, not satisfied with. But he just kept trying to explain that's not what happened. And I knew I couldn't give you what you needed. Bro, the entire time you were on this show, you kept saying, I'm going to fight for you every day. I want that ferocious love. I want to be there for you. I'm going to choose you. You don't get to say all of this and run your mouth for months. And then as soon as she proposes, you're like, I have the ick.
I've always felt like on this show, like just how these dudes get so fired up, like from the get, and they're all like, I feel like the guys are even more guilty of that like obnoxious.
Because like, guys are hunters
he's not
a
here
lot
for
of
the
the time.
right reason. Like someone needs to tell her, and bro, like they get really fired up about it. And I'm like, I don't know guys to be like that in real life, but it's because I'm not in a dating competition. Like this for the women, this is like they're looking for their partners. They just want to be in love. They just want to have their person, like for the most part, generally speaking. For dudes, they get this way and they're all ready to get married in like a 6-week period. Yeah. Because it's a fucking race. It's a competition. They're like, who's stronger, who's faster, who's gonna fucking out.
Because they're hunters and that girl's the prey.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much more to me. The competition thing kicks in. And so then once they've won it, then I'm sure much more of them have that, oh, shit, I'm engaged now.
And this is why I really liked Marcus from Jump.
Yeah.
Because I felt like he actually wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
And so, again, love Marcus. Just think Marcus maybe needed to go through some healing before he went on the show.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the gift for him.
Yeah, no, totally.
This is going to bring him to a better place so that he can get everything he wants because he deserves it because he is a really lovely guy.
Yeah.
Devin,
I hope that they don't do this motherfucker any favors. Like, I know that like they're going to probably want the villain to go to paradise.
Yeah.
But if the show had any fucking like character at all, they would say, this is someone that we should have spotted before we let him on.
Yeah.
We probably did. At least we knew halfway through this guy is for sure here up to no good. And we're not going to reward him with giving him even more airtime. Because once you give him that, it's only going to be harder and harder to not stay on him and at every fucking angle because just to make him good TV. But like they fucked this girl. They really gave her some shitty fucking choices. And I think she's worse off than she was when she started the show, which is the shitty part. So I hope that they do her a solid by not letting this guy any further in the world of fame, of TV fame than he's already gotten, because he's already gotten way more than he ever deserved.
You know, they say with reality TV, right? Like sometimes like this sounds terrible, but like you love to hate someone. They're a great villain. They do stuff that drives you crazy and you love to talk about it, but there's no harm there. The problem is when you hate to hate someone.
Yeah.
And with Devin, I don't want you on my TV. Like, I don't want, there's nothing enjoyable. You're not even a good villain. Cause at least what's his name? You bother me. Who's that guy that drives me up a wall?
I know. I can't
You know
remember
who I'm
his
talking
name,
about. Yeah, everyone in America knows who I'm talking about just from saying that.
Wait, what was the thing he used to always say though?
You bother me.
No, he'd go.
I'm going to keep the main thing. The main thing.
The main thing. Yeah.
By the way, not a bad saying. I'm okay with that. Like, I might even borrow that. But every time he said it, I wanted to vom. But that's just because it was like coming from him. He was like a little smarmy to me.
Yeah.
But even he at the Men Tell All, he had a modicum of humility.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there. Yeah, sometimes he was trying to defend some bad behavior, but for the most part, he really did have humility when he was talking to her, talking to the other guys, saying, I could have done better. I wasn't really listening here. And I appreciated that.
Totally.
Devin came out there and was like, this wasn't my fault. I just stopped loving you and I knew I couldn't be the man you needed me to be, which is so gross because I felt like he was pushing it all back onto her as opposed to saying, I was in over my head. I got swept up in the moment. There's cameras, there's fame, there's some Axe deodorant endorsement deal in my future that I'd really like to pick up.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry because I really did you dirty. That's what he should have said. And then I would have been totally cool with it. I still would have thought it wasn't his best look, but at least I would have thought, okay, you owned up to it. Do not sit here and tell me I went through this entire process where I was reeling you in, telling you how beautiful you are, how perfect you are, how you're the perfect person I've always waited for. I can't wait to spend a life with you. And then 2 weeks into it, I'm off like a prom dress. And I just need you to know the reason it is because I watched you grow. It was so gross when he's sitting there saying to her, I watched you grow into this beautiful woman. Like, who are you?
Oh my God.
What do you think? Who do you think you are that you get to talk to me that way? That you're proud of me? Shut up. Kick rocks. That is disgusting behavior.
Yeah, he was real gross.
You're the immature party for one. Okay.
You know what he seemed like at that thing? Like he seemed like a guy that somebody had called to kind of like try to sell him some crisis management PR, and he was like, I'm not paying for that. Like he didn't want to spend the money, so he just like Googled it.
Yep.
And then like came up with the most basic
ChatGPT'd his answer.
ChatGPT.
Which actually brings me back to my original theory on ChatGPT, which it feels like mansplaining. And I do feel like he was mansplaining the breakup to her.
Yeah, but he thinks he's smarter than everyone.
This is what I keep saying. His malapropisms, his misuse of any colloquialism is so irritating to me, and it is a telltale sign that you think that you're smarter than you are, because we all know when we're using a word or a phrase and I'm like, is that the way you pronounce it? Is that what that really means?
Yeah.
Devin's like, I don't need to look it up. I am the dictionary.
Yeah.
No, you are a dick, not a dictionary.
But I also just want to say, Devin, keep being you.
You know it all, dude.
Yeah, and keep going with that.
See how that works out for you.
Yeah.
Ugh. Also, I love Jesse Palmer. Like, I really do think he seems like a super nice guy. Saw him on my flight back from Miami to LA. And I took everything in me not to stop and be like, I love your show. I just need him. I don't know why none of the producers are saying this to him, because he's a really likable, great guy. And I really like him when he's like playing pickleball with someone. I don't as much love when he talks in the I'm so sorry voice.
Yeah.
He does this a lot. Like, you know what? People talk about this voice when they've gone through a loss, like their significant other or their parents passed away. And so then everyone talks to you like, how are you? And I get it. Like, a sensitive thing has happened and he's dealing with matters of the heart and all this stuff. I get all that. But you can still talk like a regular human person and say, this was really brutal for you to go through. And I just want you to know that all of Bachelor Nation's here for you. He doesn't have to talk like this. Does that not bother you? Or are you not picking up on it?
No, it totally bothers me. It's so not him.
It's not him at all.
And I think he would be much more of a service to himself and to the show if he played more of like the giving Devin side eye. Like when Devin's like saying, I don't know, or I'm just, if this happens then I'm out. Of him being like, really, dude, you're out. If she doesn't say like, that seems a little, are you... Like, maybe you should ask yourself, like, where's this really coming from? What do I really want from this girl? Why do I need her to tell me that she loves me? I came on a dating show with 50 other people. I obviously knew what I was getting into, and now I'm ready to leave because, like, she's not telling me this or that. That's the show. I hope this isn't news to you.
Yeah.
And I really just think that he should just lean into being
himself.
Jesse Palmer. Like,
totally.
Because everything you're saying that he does is like so clearly not, it's such a stretch.
It is. And this is where Chris Harrison actually was really good.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like he clapped back in respectful ways, but had valid points. And he would give us like, take your time and say your goodbyes. I just think Jesse has like that gear that he slips into too much. I call it like the funeral voice. Like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I know. And it's like, it's okay. Nobody actually did die here. Yeah. They're all going to be okay. They're going to get endorsement deals. We're going to see them on Bachelor in Paradise. I know Foof wants to go.
Foof.
Do we want to talk about the Mormons?
Did you watch it?